This week, we're bringing you along as we start exploring and sailing through the Faroe Islands.
Do I do one of the longest reverses I've ever done?
We learn to navigate through the challenges that the wind, current, and fjords bring.
It is a higher risk what we're doing.
Welcome to Sailing Gypsy. 2 years ago, we knew nothing about sailing, but took off from Canada with an urge for adventure. I'm Steph, this is Travis, and this is our home, Gypsy. We moved quickly and in a short time have made it down south and even crossed an ocean, but we still have a whole lot more of the world to see. Subscribe and join our life on the water.
We arrived at Torshavn yesterday evening and we kind of just hung out on the boat. But today we're anxious to get off the boat and go check this cute little town out. It's raining a little bit this morning, so we're just waiting it out. But it seems like it's lightened up. Steph's been taking advantage of the internet here and trying to get some videos uploaded because that's always a hard thing to do. Yeah, so I think it's time we check it out. Ready to get off this boat?
Yeah, I keep saying I'm gonna stop, but I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna drop clips, but all of a sudden I almost have another full video, so.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, let's get off.
We did this after dark yesterday, but we wanted to show you guys because we thought it was pretty cool. Checking in and paying for your slip here at the marina is all automated. So you go to this machine, put your credit card in, and you can get a card to load funds on for electricity, to use the washers and dryers, and to pay for your berth. They make it clear this is not a cash machine. We take money from you. We don't give you money.
That's cool.
What is it?
The drill bit.
Like stopped you in your tracks.
Well, I've never seen one up close. It's just really neat. It just cores down that into that earth. It's an insert bit.
This area, called Tinganes, is a historic location that means Parliament Jetty. It's one of the oldest parliamentary meeting places in the world, dating back to 825, the Viking era.
Right now we're just kind of wandering around the marina, and on the end here there is the government of the Faroe Islands, and it is a cool building, and they got the eco roofs and everything, so check this out.
You'd never know it was a government building. Those roofs, I was excited to see these roofs. The grass roofs are like Scandinavian style, so they're really good in terms of insulating, so it reduces costs of heating, AC, and it absorbs all the rainwater. Apparently it's very long lasting as well.
Greenest government houses I've seen.
Look how rainy it is.
I like the grass roof. If we ever go back to land life,
Look at that.
like what?
More grass roofs, peek and
Oh,
pew.
yeah, there's
They're
tons of them.
super cute.
If we ever go back to land life, I think I'll adopt that.
Travis is gonna be mowing the roof.
Yeah, I'll be up there with a weed whacker, making it all pretty and such.
It'd pretty much be like having a house-sized chia pet.
Yeah. That makes sense. They're efficient.
The weather is relatively mild for its northerly location. Winters average 6 degrees Celsius or 43 degrees Fahrenheit, and the summers don't usually surpass 13 Celsius or 55 Fahrenheit. So this fort of Torshavn was built in the 16th century.
Pretty cool brass little guns. I think that was their first sort of line of defense, but I think they upgraded since then.
These 4 brass cannons were put here in the 17th and 18th century, and then those 2 big ones down there, these are the big boys they put in during the Second World War, when the British used this place as their headquarters.
Just a wee bit bigger.
Yeah, a little bit of an upgrade.
Think it still works?
You even know how to work it?
Yeah, you put the big bullet in there and lock it up. So now obviously the fort's no longer used to defend ships with cannon fire. It's just a lighthouse.
It's
pretty cool.
You're protecting against Travis, if anything. Right?
Jerk climbing up to the top.
Yeah.
Oh, they even got the backside. But it's not that high. I could get up there if I wanted to. I'd use that door. Places like this make me happy. There's just no rhyme or reason for the housing. Yeah, it's very naturey feel, which I like.
I feel like I just stepped into a fairy tale.
I know, right?
There are about 2 dozen or so small black tarred wooden houses with white window frames in Torshavn's Olde Town. These homes date back to the 14th century, and the windy, narrow roads make the neighborhood quite charming for a stroll.
Put your milk in.
This is cool.
Now that I've been able to get fresh milk, I've been craving it like crazy. And this is kind of, I don't know, it's cool. Grab your little milk jar, and I think you just pour it in. Fresh milk. If it's good though, I'm totally screwed. I'll have to come back and get like a bunch.
We're sure glad that we provisioned in Scotland before heading to the Faroes, because the groceries and dining out are not cheap. Eager beaver, it's not even done yet. Try it.
I couldn't wait. Had to try it. Good Faroese milk.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's like milk. It's good. It's creamy.
That was the cheapest thing in that grocery store.
I know.
As a follow-up to last week's episode, we can confirm that credit card has been accepted everywhere we've gone, and we have yet to require local currency. Torshavn is the capital city of the Faroe Islands and home to a quarter of the Faroese population at just under 14,000 residents. Fishing's been the main source of income for the Faroe Islands since the late 19th century. Fisheries here account for 97% of their exports and half of their GDP. Since 2011, the Faroese economy has experienced significant growth due to higher fish prices and increased salmon farming. So how much does it cost to live here? Well, the average residential property in Torshavn is about 3.1 million Danish krones, or $410,000 US.
Time for the stressful bit again. We're taking off the dock this morning. Got like 10 knots of wind. Not much, but I like no wind. I don't think there's much of a current in here, so my dilemma is, do I do one of the longest reverses I've ever done? Do I just reverse straight back, then it's open behind this boat, where I can do it and then head out? Or do I try to reverse in here and then turn out? That's the dilemma I'm stuck with right now. The wind is also pushing us down that channel, so it makes me believe if I just went down the channel, I should be fine. Because if I try to turn and we get hit with a crosswind, it might not allow the boat to do what I'm trying to do. Might have to man up and just do one of the longest reverses I've ever done. Didn't get that much practice the other day, but I feel pretty confident.
terrifying, but Travis knocked it out of the park. He came out of there like a boss.
Just with reverse, it's not bad. It's just harder to anticipate in your mind because you're going backwards. So if you're going forward and you want to go to port, you turn the wheel to port, you can kind of let go of the wheel will turn. If you go in reverse, on our boat, if we go upwards of 10 degrees, like if we turn the wheel at 10 degrees and you let go of it, it just flicks. And when it goes really quickly, the back of the boat wants to turn right away, and then the bow of the boat flips. Oh, we got 24,000 pound boat that's like not loaded up. So we probably got like 28,000 pounds. And it's just crazy how big it feels when you're in a tight little marina and how small it feels when you're out here.
Oh yeah, last night we walked up and down the pier from different angles just to see to get a better look of our working space. And when we looked out there, we were thinking, man, that looks a lot bigger from out here than when we're in the boat. Why are we so worried? There is a lot of space here. But then as soon as you get on the boat, that big space just squeezes down to like a narrow laneway. I guess it's kind of like, it's like driving a car on ice, because to some extent you're always going to be sliding. No matter which way you point, there's going to be some side-to-side movement.
The way I describe it, you're driving a bus on the back of the bus.
On ice.
On ice with no brakes. That's like pretty much it. It's a crazy feeling.
Hey, you ride your bike with no brakes.
yeah, just like anything, it took years to master using my bike with no brakes and learning how to slow down and everything and stop. And same with the boat.
We ended up leaving a little bit later than we had planned, just from really thinking out how we were going to cast off the dock and whatnot. And here we've been really trying to plan our departures and arrivals with the current, especially going through some of the fjords. So where we're going now is kind of a tight little spot, and to get in, we have to really time it with the current. So it looks like we're still okay for now, as long as we make good time. I think we have about an hour. If we can keep our average at 7 knots, what we're doing now, it's going to take us an hour to get to this point, and that's where we kind of have to focus on the current. So it looks like we're going to have a current pushing us. If we got there earlier, we would have had a stronger current helping us, but it looks like we're still going to have maybe 1.4 knots of current helping us through. But the later it gets, it starts to switch. And then once we get in there, we're going to find a spot just outside of Klaksvik, I think it's called. We've been using this app that we read about here called RAC that's been really helping out with the currents. Ooh, 8.5 knots. We're a little bit more heeled. But it's funny because we used to sail at how many degrees?
Oh, always over 20.
Oh, and we'd always just be like that. I guess over time we've kind of just learned to...
Learn how to operate the sails.
Yeah, that you don't need to be heeled excessively all the time. No, it's not even as efficient. And it's not as comfortable. But we're going to continue flying today a little bit more heeled than we normally do, just because we're trying to make good timing and getting to that point so that we can get pushed in with the current. So
Contemplating putting a reef in or not. I don't know. I like being less heeled
we
sometimes.
literally just said we're not going to slow down. We're making good time. We want the current.
So it's really hard to kind of judge the wind because there's crazy elevation changes.
Woo!
That's too much. with the elevation change, the wind actually like slows down and then wraps around some of these mountains. So like the wind will be at 60 degrees, so then all of a sudden your sails are flapping, and then the wind flicks, and then it's on a beam, and then
we
you
get
sail,
something
and then
like
you're good.
It's funny because Travis decided to put one leaf in, and as he's doing it, the wind dies a bit.
It's okay, I only put one in. Doesn't affect us too much.
You were cranking it like a madman, and then it dies.
That's the really hard thing that I've noticed here the 2 days we've sailed, is you get the wind direction, and then you think, oh yeah, I'm going to be on this sort of tack. But then the current, if you don't account for the current, which is hard to because it changes constantly, then it throws you off your course. So like what could be you know, a close reach is all of a sudden a close haul because there's a current throwing your ass off.
And we end up off our route, our mark, because we're trying to get to this point. We're trying to get to that point over there, but we're getting veered off a little bit right now, right?
Yeah. Looks like we're heading there because we pointed at it, but
It looks like it, but then give it a little bit of time, and then you notice that the current is taking you away from where you want to go. Yeah, there's a 2.5, 3 knot current right now, so that's why it's moving us quite a bit.
kind of knew we were gonna have to motor up this section anyways, just because the moment we make a hard turn to port here, the winds are just gonna be straight on our nose.
It just started getting pretty aggressive. The winds have hiked up, they're just funneling through. We're getting 26 knots of wind right now. Our visibility has drastically diminished in front of us as well, so turn on the radar because we know that there's a little boat in front of us who doesn't read on AIS. Not sure if our radar is actually picking them up.
It feels aggressive, but it's not aggressive.
Okay, fine. It feels pretty aggressive.
It sounds aggressive.
It sounds, because the wind generator started swooshing, and the waves started raining. You can hear the wind howling.
Yeah, the only scary thing is we're going into like a narrower section. 20 knots of wind on our nose, crazy current pushing us, and a boat just kind of came out of nowhere, out of the fog, so nothing like putting it all in at once. Since we're running the motor, we got a little heater on the boat going at the moment, so finally get some warmth in there. The wind generator's charging the batteries because we sat for the last 2 days. So.
Ooh, we're kind of bashing into it a little bit, eh?
So wind against current does. Wild.
Yeah, we don't like it when the waves come up that far because if they're strong enough, they're just going to come right through into the cockpit. They hit the right spot. In here, speed over ground is 5.5, but we're only going 2.5 through the water, so it looks like we have 3 knots helping us, but according to the current it says that there's only 0.4 meters per second, which is less than a knot, so it's really hard to judge, but it feels pretty aggressive.
So I think it's very similar to Scotland, what you noticed. The directions are usually always accurate, the speeds aren't. So it's not like the speed matters technically.
But you want to know if it's going against you.
That's the majority of it. You want to know if it's with you or against you. That's the most important.
But then when it comes to the wind, I don't know. It's not accurate on there once you hone in on these little areas. So even when we check predict wind, so don't know until we get in here.
It's actually a pretty interesting situation. Like every time you go into something, you always kind of in the back of your mind need to have a contingency plan of like an escape route or a safety spot. I don't really know what I'd do here because these fjords on the side are just, you couldn't, I guess you can't just anchor. Like, so like if anything happened to the motor, we'd be in a really crappy spot, knock on wood. See, certain spots you just gotta, like, it is a higher risk what we're doing. And you just gotta trust what you got. Trust in your equipment.
Knock on all the wood. I hate it when you bring things up like that, like, oh, motor quits. But I know.
Trying to show, like, people might think, oh yeah, everything looks so easy. Those are the things that you need to think about when you're out on a boat. You need to think about the might-haves or shit like that, and you gotta have it in the back of your mind.
Yeah, because you would think that being on the boat 24/7 for the past almost 2 years, it just come as second nature, but we're always in somewhere new. There's always a different situation that we're in, different weather, and yeah, it's pretty much lending every single day. So we're sure it's very beautiful where we are, and this is why we came here, but right now, we can't see anything.
Came here to see beauty and can't see shit.
We're just trying to look under the fog right now to see what we can.
I'll just sit back and enjoy my coffee.
At least we're not bashing into the waves anymore, that you can sit there and enjoy your coffee.
Yeah, we got into a little more narrow spot, so the wind doesn't have as much control over the waves.
There's not much information on anchoring online or on the charts that we use. So we're just scoping out the area now, trying to figure out where we can tie up to, because some areas are reserved for, it looks like, large fishing boats, tankers, cruise ships.
We got here, it was blowing 20-something knots and seemed really tight, and there was nowhere on this public dock over here. So we just dropped the anchor, and then for the last hour and a half, I was watching the harbor masters. They moved all of these boats from side tie to stern tie.
We're just gonna get settled in here. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next week. This place is spectacular, and we'll be showing you why Klaksvik knocked our socks off. So be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss next week's episode.